Hello my friends, and welcome back to another video. My name is Amanda. If you're new here, so happy that you're here, and if you're returning, thanks for being here. I share vegan food, vegan meals, vegan stuff here on this channel, and I wanted to address that because I have gotten some new subscribers recently, and if you look at some of my earlier videos, like, they're not 100% vegan friendly, they're not 100% like vegetarian, because when I started this channel, this was like when I started transitioning to a vegetarian diet and to a vegan diet. So I was eliminating a lot of things. I was also preparing food for other people in my life. It wasn't just me, so it wasn't necessarily things that I was eating myself all the time. So I just kind of wanted to touch base and share that with you guys and just kind of clarify what this channel is about. So I am fully plant-based as of right now, as much as I can be. Just like any other human, I make mistakes sometimes. I forget to fully read a label. I order takeout and sometimes make a mistake. I actually did that last night, ironically. I really wanted a burger, but I'm not really like a super fan of the like Impossible or like Beyond like burgers. Like, it was cool when it came out and it was really helpful for my transition, but I prefer like a veggie burger or a black bean burger. So I found a restaurant and I ordered it, and then it ended up being actually not the restaurant I thought, and there was eggs in it, but I'm still here, and it was an honest mistake, and I didn't want to waste the food since I had it delivered. But anyway, so that was quite a tangent. So back to today's video. I wanted to take you along just kind of like a day of eats. I'm in a new home and I'm starting to feel settled, and I'm going to make a video about this in the future, but I started making sourdough. So there's a couple treats that I'm working on today that I wanted to share with you guys. But yeah, really, I just wanted to take you along in a day of realistic eating. I'm not a dietitian or a professional. I'm just a girl figuring out life and eating along the way and deciding to share it online. So if that sounds entertaining or interesting to you and you want to look at some realistic vegan meals, stick around, because that's what we're in for today. All right, let's get into the food.
As I do most mornings, I started off my day with some AG1. Not sponsored by them. This is just something that I have been doing for, I think, almost a year now, and I wanted to show you guys the view of my backyard. It's so beautiful and grounding. And then here is my sourdough starter, which I have been nurturing and taking care of for the last few weeks, and I use that to make some cinnamon rolls the night before. I'll leave the recipe in the description box below, but they had sat in the fridge overnight, and then we are going to bake them for breakfast. So I just threw those in the oven and allowed them to bake until they had kind of risen and spiraled up and they were slightly golden, and then I made an icing for it. Usually when I make an icing, I just mix powdered sugar and non-dairy milk, but since I was following a recipe, I kind of wanted to see what the difference was if I followed it as close as I could. And I liked these cinnamon rolls. The dough, it wasn't sour like sourdough, and it wasn't sweet. So it was kind of neutral, but I felt like it was missing something. So I'm definitely down to make sourdough discard cinnamon rolls, or just regular cinnamon rolls again, but I almost feel like the dough was a little dense. I don't know if it was something that I did or if it was just the recipe, because for one, I'm just getting back into baking, and for two, this was something completely new that I've never tried before. But they were definitely edible, and I shared them with my family, and they were truly enjoyed. None of them went to waste. But for the icing for this recipe, it was actually a maple cream cheese frosting, but I didn't have any vegan cream cheese, and I had maple syrup, but I'm like, well, if I don't have the cream cheese, why bother with the maple syrup? So I just mixed powdered sugar, oat milk, and a little bit of vanilla together, and here I'm realizing, yeah, I need the whisk to get out these clumps here. And usually when I make an icing, I just add a good amount of powdered sugar and then just a splash of milk. This was way too thin of a consistency. probably because the recipe accounted for the cream cheese, and I'm realizing that now. But whatever. It was kind of early. It was like 7 in the morning when I was doing this because I'm trying to get up a little bit earlier on my days off to regulate my sleep. That's one of the things that I'm working on right now to try and kind of take care of myself a little bit better. So it's a work in progress. And I decided to just keep adding like powdered sugar to this mixture until it reached the consistency that I liked. And definitely using a whisk is going to help get those clumps out, or you can even like sift the powdered sugar. But as you can see, the more powdered sugar I had, it kind of turned that nice creamy white color, and we were good. So you know what, sometimes we just trial and error, figure things out one moment at a time. So then this is what I ended up having for breakfast on this day. I had 2 of these cinnamon rolls. I wasn't super hungry, but this was kind of my plan for this day anyway, just to have kind of a light breakfast and get my day going. And I will say, like, with the icing, I think the sweetness level definitely balanced out. So I almost wonder if the recipe intentionally didn't make the dough super sweet because of the like implied sweetness of the icing. So that actually makes a lot of sense now that I think about it, rewatching this. But I decided to make a matcha on this morning while the cinnamon rolls were baking, and I finally got like a holder for my matcha whisk and decided to just get a new pretty bowl and kind of treat myself, trying to drink more matcha instead of coffee because coffee's been kind of triggering my anxiety a lot lately. So I've been switching over to matcha. And how fun is it to make delicious matcha in a beautiful bowl? And I'm using matcha-kari matcha. I am kind of in the market to kind of experiment and try different matchas to see what I like, trying to find something maybe a little bit more affordable. So I'll let you know if I find a different one, but I will link this cute bowl set and the matcha in the description box. I just got them on Amazon. So, but I find that making matcha this way is just another practice to make moments more intentional. And as I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned that in the introduction or the like outro of this video, but I'm trying to be a little bit more intentional about the things that I do, just kind of cultivating a little bit more mindfulness in my day. So I think this is a good practice to start my day with. And then I just warmed up a little bit of oat milk in the microwave because I didn't want to get out my handheld milk frother because just another dish, because I don't have a dishwasher right now, and dishes are not my favorite. But I used my little hand whisk foamer thing to give it a little bit of froth, and it was the perfect amount of froth. I don't like a lot of foam. So, and then Maya was checking out my cinnamon rolls. She was such a good girl. She just sniffed it, and I really enjoyed, like, it was a nice late breakfast. We just kind of like sat in the window and ate and chilled out, and it was a really kind of slow, relaxing, intentional way to start the day. And then, so this next section of the video is me making blueberry bagels because I wanted to include one of the sourdough treats that I have been working on, or I made. So I will timestamp the video in the description if you want to skip the bagels and go back to what I eat in a day, but we are making blueberry bagels. So I found a couple different recipes for sourdough discard blueberry bagels. This one had me kind of defrost the blueberries in the microwave and mash them up. And then there's another one that I'm considering making that had me put them in the food processor. I'm gonna try that one next. Also, has anyone else heard that if you put bay leaves in your flour, it keeps those little like mealy bugs out? Because one time, like, oh my gosh, like 9 years ago, I had like those mealy bugs in my flour, and then I read this and I've been putting bay leaves in my flour ever since, and I haven't had an issue. So that's what that was. Back to the bagels. So into my mixing bowl, I added my flour and my water, and I'm using a kitchen scale to measure this out because I really find in general, like when baking, like measuring by the gram allows for a lot more accuracy instead of using measuring cups, and it's less dishes. So we have the flour, the water, and the salt, adding that in, measuring it out according to the recipe. recipe. And then here is the sourdough starter, adding that in as well. Again, using the kitchen scale to measure out how much I need because, again, let's save a dish. So adding that in, it's nice and bubbly and active. As you can see, it is so sticky. Like, you gotta clean your utensils right away when you're working with the starter because it like turns into cement. Like, I'm really grateful that the friend of mine who gave me my starter warned me of that before I like started doing this. Otherwise I would like have ruined some dishes, I think. But anyway, so we got the sourdough starter in there, and then in go the blueberries. I'm sorry, Maya is like on the couch next to me and she's dreaming. I don't know if you could hear her, but she's like, Maya, you're okay, baby. Oh, now her tail's wagging. She must have heard my voice. Anyway, okay, back to the bagels. Everything goes in, and then I am using my stand mixer fixed with my dough hook to bring the dough together. You definitely don't need to do this, but like I said, since this is a recipe I've made for the first time, I was following the instructions. I feel like I would have just rather done this in a bowl and then like kneaded it by hand, which I think is going to be important for me going forward to kind of learn the consistency of the doughs for different things that I make. But look at this color. Like, it's so blue and beautiful. Well, it's like purple, but like, it just looks so beautiful. Purple's my favorite color too, so, you know, I'm a little bit biased. So then I just kind of took it out and kneaded it a little bit by hand. I don't really know how to knead, so I'm just kind of like winging it here. Like I said, I'm kind of new to the whole like baking bread products thing, but this is a journey that I'm absolutely stoked to be on. It's something that I've wanted to do for such a really long time, and I was gonna start doing things like this in January, but if you don't know, I moved in January, and then again in March. Well, I didn't move in January. I moved in March, and then I moved again at the beginning of May, so like life's been crazy, but here we are. So you let the dough sit on the counter pretty much all day for its like first rise, and then it's gonna go into the fridge and kind of ferment overnight. This is like the magic of sourdough, letting the dough rest so that like good gut bacteria has time to like ferment and activate and add like those good sourdough vibes to whatever it is that you're making. So that was this step. So now we are officially into like tomorrow morning, but I wanted to keep the whole bagel like part of this video together just in case you wanted to follow the recipe. So technically this is the next morning. We are checking out the dough. It's nice and marbled, which I think is really cool that some of the dough stayed like dough color, like white, and then some of the dough was purple. They turned out mostly purple, but still. So then we are dividing the dough into 8 equal-ish parts. You can use a scale to make sure they're equal, but I was just winging it. I did pretty good. Some of them were a little small, like that one is way bigger. And then the recipe was like not super descriptive, or maybe I was just sleepy when I read it. But essentially folding it in and kind of rolling it into a ball. I don't think I needed to flour my surface here, and I think that caused a little bit of an issue for me when I was trying to like roll these up, because there was flour on the bottom of the dough and then flour on my hands, so like the dough didn't want to stick to itself when I was trying to roll it into a ball. So I definitely learned something in this moment excuse me, that you don't always need that much flour, but yeah. But so essentially you chop up all the dough and fold it up and roll it into balls, and then we're going to poke holes in it and let it sit on the counter for another hour. So that's what we're doing here. And let me know if like you guys are into sourdough, or if you have any like sourdough discard recipes, because I'm really enjoying making bread, but like I don't eat that much bread, so like making a loaf of bread every week is just not practical for me. But making things like bagels or crackers, or I made English muffins, oh my gosh, I'll have to make them again and show you in a video, because like it's so cool to me that they just turned into English muffins. I know I'm like kind of tangenting again, but it's all sourdough related. So yeah, let me know in the comments what your favorite discard recipes are, or if you're into sourdough or into baking and what you like to bake. But I'm definitely going to keep experimenting with like bagels and like baked goods and different kinds of bread and stuff like that. The possibilities are endless, really. But once we have the holes poked in the bagels, like I said, we're gonna let those sit for an hour, and then once that hour has passed, we're gonna get a pot of water on the boil because they have to be boiled and then baked. And then the recipe said to make sure that they're like not like hard, but like not sticky, and that's how you know that they're ready. So then we add them into the water, just a couple at a time. You don't want to overcrowd the pot. And then, excuse me, those are going to boil for about a minute on each side. Flip them over after a minute and then put them back onto the parchment paper. And I did this with all 8 bagels, and as you can see, oh my god, excuse me. As you can see, like my shaping was not all that great, but like honestly at this point I was just ready to eat a bagel on this morning. Like I just wanted to try it. So it wasn't perfect, but I'm gonna try a little bit more intentionally. Like that one in the corner is really good. I think that was like the one that was really big. So maybe they need to be bigger. I don't know. But then instead of using an egg wash, like the recipe said, because I am vegan and I don't eat eggs, I used oat milk to just kind of brush the tops of the bagels to kind of help encourage that like crust. If you have any of those other suggestions for that, let me know in the comment section below. And then I just baked them, I think for about 20 minutes, and like they look like bagels, a little bit wonky bagels, but they're my bagels, my first bagels. I have been wanting to make bagels for so freaking long. I'm so proud of myself for finally doing it. Like, I'm just so happy about it. And like, to be honest, these were a little bit more sour than I would have liked them to be. So I think I'm gonna try another recipe where they don't have like the overnight like ferment, because like I like the taste of sourdough, but it was almost too overpowering that I couldn't really taste the blueberry as much as I would have liked. I really wanted that blueberry to come through and be forward. I might even look to see if I can find a recipe that has a little bit of sugar in it also, or maybe just add a little bit. I don't know, like I'm nervous to like just experiment with baking, but these are so beautiful. They were really good. Like I said, I enjoyed them even though they weren't perfect looking and didn't turn out exactly as I had hoped, but they were still absolutely delicious. And I just served mine with vegan butter and called it a day. And then another sourdough discard recipe that I've been loving are these super simple sour discard crackers. I had this as a snack a little bit later in the day. You just mix the discard with butter and bake it. And these ones I added some everything but the bagel seasoning. Very delicious. And then like I wasn't super hungry for lunch, but I had some errands to do, so I'm like, let me make something really quick. I had some leftover rice and these canned chickpeas that I had gotten from Trader Joe's a while ago, so I figured it was time to eat them. Some homemade pickled red onions, cucumber, and then this garlic dill hummus from Aldi, which, oh my gosh, like it's so good. Like I hope it's not like gone already. Like, you know, Aldi has like seasonal things and they like tempt you and then all of a sudden they're gone. Like, oh, last year I found this chocolate pie that was vegan and it was so good. And by the time I realized how good it was and ate it, there was no more in the store. So I'm hoping that that'll be like back in season, like for summer. Fingers crossed, I'll let you know. But I added a little bit of that rice to a bowl and I warmed it up just because I wanted some warm rice because cold rice is not that great. Chopped up some cucumber, added in these pickled red onions, which can we just take a moment and admire how beautiful this batch of pickled red onions turned out. I have not had a batch this vibrant in a really long time. And then these chickpeas were packed in oil. They were a little greasy for my taste. Now, I did just eat them right out of the can. I don't know if you're supposed to heat them up or whatever. Maybe if I were to like fry them up and like cook down some of the oil, it wouldn't have been as like greasy, but I definitely shouldn't have poured some of the oil on top. That was a big mistake. I actually didn't finish all of this because not only was I not that hungry, but then it was a little too greasy and it kind of ruined it for me. But you know what? I still ate some food, got something in my system because I'm running on what at this point 2 cinnamon rolls and a matcha, so and a few crackers, so I needed fuel before I left the house. But look at how pretty it is. It turned out so colorful and I'm trying to eat more colors. And then, you know, as it turns out, as I got home, when I got home from my errands, I was feeling a little something something, so I made my favorite chocolate protein shake, which is just some chocolate protein powder, about a half a banana, a tablespoon of almond butter, and some oat milk. I usually do soy milk just to kind of bump up the protein, but I didn't have any. I just have oat at the moment. But like this combination is so good. And like I use the Orgain chocolate fudge protein powder. Yeah, but that like, I don't know, it just always puts me in a good mood. It's like dessert, snack, lovely. I also made a loaf of bread on this day. This is my second loaf of sourdough bread. Look at how beautiful she is. I'm so excited. Like, I'm so proud of myself. I'm almost in like disbelief that I made this. I didn't film it because I'm still getting used to it, and like I've been making a lot of stuff and I'm getting a little overwhelmed, and like filming and baking was just too much, but it's so beautiful and I'm so excited. And then for dinner, I had these vegetable gyoza because I had an allergy attack when I was doing my errands and I was just done for the day.
Alright my friends, that is a wrap on today's video. Thank you so much for sticking with me to the end and hanging out until tomorrow, technically, to see the bagels finished. I'm so excited on how those turned out. Like, there's a couple different recipes that I'm gonna try. This is my first time ever making bagels, so I'm gonna try a different recipe and kind of compare and just keep experimenting. And the good thing is everything that I've made so far has been edible, so that's really all that matters. And I'm really enjoying this new hobby that I've started because I've really felt like I need to start doing more things that are just for me, whether that's just taking some time to sit by myself intentionally, be a little bit more present when I'm playing with Maya, even like coloring or like getting back into reading. Like I really want to get back into reading. Like I miss my books. Like I know I just started reading like the end of last year, but there's been like so much that has happened and so much space in between that like I really want to get back to it. But anyway, another tangent again, but like I said, I just wanted to thank you guys for hanging out to the end of this video. I'm so grateful that you're here. If you liked this video and the content I'm creating, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up and maybe even share with a friend or whatever, like watch it again, give it a like, I don't know, all of the YouTube stuff. You know, I'm trying to grow this channel and I'm really enjoying doing it. So thanks again for being here and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye for now. Wow. Losing my voice here.